briefly going over the 10K task grind guide made by Blue. So thank you so much to Blue Mandalorian for putting this together. These are the simplest 10K tasks to do that can be done free to play. So let's walk through some of these. The first two are very easy. Acquire 500 Borg solo directives. That is in your Borg tech refinery. Requires a triple pull of your rare. Doesn't matter what ops range you are, as long as you can acquire the 500 epic Borg directives, it does not change. The actual amount does not change as you go up in ops. So this is free to play for basically anybody. It does not roll that often. I don't know if it's just a low roll chance or if it's so highly coveted that it keeps getting pulled off of the deck every time that you see it. Second one, same type of thing. Acquire 500 Epic Dominion solo directives. This would be in your Bajoran faction store. This only needs a double pull of the rare. And then we start moving towards some of the other ones that can be acquired free to play and have take a little bit of time to kind of build up because you can't do this all in once. So this is the acquire 6,000 uncommon X Borg credits. And I don't know about you. I don't know about everybody else here on the panel. I feel like I see this one a lot. So we always kind of target this one in our
Comes up
lane.
good, and it's my biggest source of points. It's a great one. It's your go-to reliable one for sure.
I do see this one a lot more than I see the Borg ones, for example. This one shows up a lot. And the good news, the great thing about this one is it really is very simple to do. Like, I mean, granted, you can only probably do one or two of these a month, right? If your NX01 is at a higher tier, I think tier 11 is where you can be right at about 16 chest pulls.
So take a look at this.
That depends on if you're going the safe way or if you're taking some risk. And there are certain ways to subsidize it with things that are in the game, like your X-Borg down pull.
Sure.
And certain other refines that can, not to mention what you can purchase from the store itself if you need to subsidize the last few pulls because doing risky got you in trouble and you need that little bit extra.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this is also why it's a challenge when they move tournaments closer together.
Oh, for sure, because you got less time to accumulate.
In particular.
Yeah. Now, real quick question in the chat, and actually, I would be happy to answer this for you. As a matter of fact, I did get a couple of answers on a couple of things while we were on the Star Trek cruise. Guru asks, has it been proven that tasks held by players while they're in progress will not appear for others? Scopely Game Design and Engineering have both confirmed that that is the case. So if you've got someone in your alliance who starts one and then holds it forever, then that particular task will not show back up, at least not in its position. All right. So
I've had that not happen. I know for a fact someone held onto a one and then I got that very same job while they were holding onto it.
It can.
But when you say,
so, like, let's say, for example, that it's got a 2x chance out of the 100 tasks or whatever, because every one of them has odds attached to it. All right. So some of these, like, for example, G6 uncommon materials, that has better odds. Spending the Protomatter or earning the, 150 or 220,000 Protomatter, whatever, 55,000 Protomatter, that has a certain number of odds. There's actually not 100 tasks. Jules, you would probably... this would probably make sense to you from an engineering and design standpoint. There's not 100 tasks. There's 100 unique tasks, but there's actually about 450 task IDs. Okay? And so these tasks, so for example, Borg might only take up 3 task IDs. Epic Directives might take up 2 task IDs, but spending multiphasics might take up 15 task IDs. Does that make sense?
That's how they kind of control
the
odds.
frequency of the odds. That's exactly right. They have weighted numbers. So even though we have 100 uniques, there's actually several hundred in a rotation table, and that's how they control the odds. So to answer your question, Guru, can you pull the same task? Yes. But if it's an ultra rare task, then that particular task ID will not roll again until it is freed up from your alliance mate. So if you know that he is holding on to a very, very valuable task, he needs to get off his ass and do it. All right? He needs to get off his ass and do it. So, Durr says, so buying reroll tokens is essentially gambling. Oh, never disputed that. All right? Never disputed that in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, reroll tasks basically takes one out, throws it back into the pot, and pulls another one back out of the pot. All right? So, no, and I do not know. Guru says, do we know how many of the epic solo task IDs there are? I do not know that. I don't have any of the specific odds or specific numbers. One other thing that I did learn while we were on the Star Trek cruise was that there are 3 different divisions of task, which actually probably does make sense. You remember how we were talking about like if you re-roll the 750s and the 1500s, trying to roll them all. Like we would do that, Karkin, and try to roll and get like 7 or 8 10,000 point tasks. Well, I'm here to tell you that I was slightly misguided in that. There can only be 5 10,000 point tasks at a single time. Like that is the mathematical max. And the 10,000 point task spots actually share their locations with the 8,000 and I believe the 6,000 point task. Or maybe I don't remember. There's 1 or 2 point values that share. Okay. So you can re-roll 6,000 and 8,000 point tasks and actually get up to 5 10,000 point tasks. But according to our original hypotheses, re-rolling 750s is never going to get you to a 10,000 task because there's so many slots dedicated to the 750 through 2,000. And then I think, like 2,500 through 5,000 has the middle. So there's 3 different differentiations in there. There's only 5 out of the 20 spots that are dedicated to high point tasks.
DJ,
Okay?
Don't tell me if I'm... Go ahead.
Of those 5 10K tasks, am I right in saying that only 3 of them will ever be the full loot payouts, that the other 2 10K tasks that you could get will be the ones that are like half pay?
I don't know. I can't answer that. That was
those extra 2 are the ones on the outside, I'm assuming. The ones that give you less credits but are at least still 10K. Like the do FKR.
If that is the data
blah.
that you guys are observing, then that would make sense. I did not ask that specific question. I just know that, and Dastros, you could be right. It could be 6, but I'm pretty sure they told me 5 was the absolute max number of 10,000 point tasks that you could get. And I mean, if it is 6, then that could be a thing. But to correct my earlier strategy teaching here on this, Jules, re-rolling 1500s is not going to get you there. Now, you could re-roll 1500s to try to get some 3s and 4s for your alliance, right? Or you could re-roll the 4s and 5s to try to get the 6s and 7s for your alliance, if that matters. All right. But you're not. Okay. Jules says that it is indeed 10. So we can get 6 total 10,000 points, both Dastros and Jules.
I don't actually know that. But here's the thing to point out, though. Of the tasks that I am showing in my screenshot here, 3 of those are the full pay. The ones that give you 4,400 credits at Expert or at Master League and the rerolls. The other 10K, the other 3 there, those ones are Kill Armada based ones that only give you 825 and no rerolls. So I think that there is the 10K that is part of a different group. So the group 2 is like 2,000 all the way up to the grindy, quote unquote, 10K tasks.
Well, that would make sense. I do know that we had a conversation about that, and the way that I thought it was, Jules, was off a little bit. So I wanted to share that with you guys here when it was, because there is actual odds, specific numbers, and those slots are locked to their category, and their category does not shift. All right. So there you go.
Answers the reroll strategy question that I had threw it out there. So that's good to know.
There you go.
Okay, so in the circle, I posted you a screenshot if you could pull that up. So this is the safe regular chest, and it shows you the number of pulls you need to get to 6,000 by tier. So the higher tier, the less pulls you have to make. You make about the same amount of opportunity chips as long as that favor is maxed, and you make so that is you get a little bit more efficient as you tier the ship up. Moving on, we also have Protomatter. So acquiring Protomatter. For that, trying to grab another screenshot for you. The biggest source for this is actually going to be grinding out a bunch of Q's trials. And how many Q's trials is based on both the actual trial level that you're working on, either tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, or tier 4, and the level of your court of Q building. The way that works is your core Q gives you a protomatter boost, meaning that each hostile you kill will give you more than that base payout by 1 plus whatever this bonus is. Meaning, if you need to get 55,000 protomatter, it may take you 600 Q's hostiles. That's not really going to be possible. But that's a tier 1 and a quarter Q level 1. Let's kind of talk about where I think a lot of players are, particularly who listen to this podcast. I would imagine that your quarter Q is maybe in the 50s, and maybe you're doing a tier 3 total payout. So, what you're actually looking at is having to kill, say, 50 hostiles, maybe 45 hostiles. That still may be above and beyond your normal amount that you can actually do based on your trial bells. So some
Can
other
I?
methods. Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say I can add something at the end if you'd like. I just have a thing that I do for this task too to help.
sure. Yeah. So this would be hostiles. What I would suggest is finding where you are on this chart, understanding how many bells you need to have kind of in your bank. And once you get, I would say 80 to 90% there, then this is something that you should grab and hold on to. If you have the whip unlocked, then you can do a whip pull and hopefully get lucky and get a bunch of protomatter from that. You could also go into your export faction store, and there's an exchange for forbidden tech that will give you a small chunk. The Mirror Refinery also has a forbidden tech exchange if you've unlocked that. So that can kind of help you get up to that point, and then the rest of it, either from events or more likely the grind, is the Q's trial. So having lots of bells kind of banked up and ready to go. What did you want to say, Tarpy?
So what I usually do, kind of, if I do Q's trials every day, what I will actually do is I will do one of each of the 1 star, the 2 star, the 3 star, and then not claim them. So if I'm doing them for dailies throughout the month and I'm just doing them to get the daily done, and I don't claim the protomatter, then that's just a little bit of a bump in that protomatter that I can claim during the task for Q's trials that I've already done and just sit there. So if
Okay.
you have, I mean, it's not as much as your highest level of Q's trials for most people, but it is an extra bump.
All right. Okay, moving on to the next task, which is the temporal disruptors. So in order to
Sorry, I wanted to say that the X Borg task and this Protomatter task kind of actually are symbiotic in the fact that when you do the X Borg task, you're going to get and have lots of epic Borg credits as well. And you can also claim maximum, do a maximum pool in the X Borg store that will get you Protomatter as well. I have done that and gotten, 25K, out of all of the different ways that you can get Protomatter without doing bells before I even started hitting bells. Or before
Isn't
I even
there a
started bells.
isn't there a favor too? Like a daily claim
There is a
favor?
fa- there is a daily favor in the Terran store that you can unlock. The same thing with X board credits. There's the trade down that you can do every 2 days that if you buy that in, gets you like 1,500 or something like that. There's other ways to get export credits. Normally when I do an export task, I'm getting anywhere between 1,800 and 3K from outside sources before I even pull a choice token. And speaking of the choice tokens, if you have the favor maxed for 30 days, you get 9,000. And that right there, even at, let's say it takes you 16 or 18 pulls on the safe pull, that's still 5 or 6 of those tasks that you can do every month if you save them all.
Yep. Great. Temporal disruptors. So this is the next one. Acquire 15,000. Now, for a while, this was not acquirable free to play because you had to have a very high level temporal artifact. That's been hard for a lot of people. Now, we've been able to get some of our other artifacts up. So if you have not been trading back, what you do is in game, go to your gift section, over to artifacts, then into temporal restorations, and you'll see if it's gold, you've reached level 8 and you've entered the remnant world. The remnant world here means that you can actually trade excess shards of those artifacts back into temporal disruptors. So this is a great way of getting some of those disruptors back. But and some of their sources of temporal disruptors are your rare Zindi Armada pulls, which, as we know, have become easier to come by with their multiple sourcing, both in Alliance Tournament store and now also in the Section 31 faction store. So actually being able to pull that chest more than once a year is now possible, and can be used as a source.
Can you show how you turn them back into the temporal? Because I thought
Yes,
they just turned
here.
into remnants. Like, which
Let's
ones
see
are
if
we?
DJs can open his game. No, so temporal, the temporal ones, and this is actually a different section of your game. I think where you're thinking of is in the refinery under artifacts tab, but we actually want to go into gifts. Under artifacts, under temporal restoration bundles. So right now we can see DJs is opening up his great eye of aura into temporal disruptors. So if he had excess shards in one of these or some of his other temporal artifacts, he can actually convert those. Right now, so DJs, you can go into the orb of prophecy and change. You got 3 extra, so you can convert that in, get 120 back. Now that's not a lot for this task, but if you have had these maxed for a while, you're still pulling your Zindi chests and they're giving you shards. You can bank those shards up and all at one time, since there is no cooldown, convert them into disruptors.
I actually, the reason I don't have any is because I had just redeemed all of them for the solo leaderboard that was up just a minute, like I think yesterday. So it might even be up still today. I don't remember, but I know that I converted everything and actually dumped all of my artifact currency and went through and maxed a bunch of stuff. As a matter of fact, I just finished Borg Queen's Remains. I was pretty excited about that. How the value of that has changed. 10% isolytic damage at
man,
max.
dude, that is
big. Good
So
God.
big numbers. So
Yeah.
big.
But I had just done that and had started to work on a couple of the other, the temporal artifacts that were in there. I think Coast Emojin, Chronoton Sample, and Temporal Observatory for warp speeds. Just stuff like that. I had dumped, that stuff into. So
now here's the trick. Here's now the trick. There is one particular temporal artifact that you can source as many shards as you can without a cooldown. A lot of these other artifacts either have a cooldown or they require you to have a bunch of temporal disruptors themselves, and you have to pay into that, and that's just a loss of ratio, and you don't want to do that. But there is one where you can, or there's two that you can do right away. That's in your DTI faction store. That is either Krenim Time Weapon or that is Janeway's Pocket Watch. Now, this does require you to have a level 60 artifact gallery and be special agent or above rank in DTI. But once you reach those two things, you'll be able to pull as many shards as you like, upgrade it to level 8, and then take those excess shards and convert back into temporal disruptors. And it's actually at quite a favorable rate. So you can see, you can't see in the bundle. So I've got some pictures in the circle so you can actually see the inside of that bundle. So it costs 120 static credits for the Credit Time Weapon or charged credits for the Janeway's Pocket Watch. That converts into 5, and you can convert back 5 of those into 600 temporal disruptors. So let's just do some quick math. If I need 15,000 temporal disruptors, I only need to spend 3,000 credits. I don't know about you all, but if you're actually sufficiently getting through your Krenim invading entities, you're able to double pull the chests for your ops level, and you're actually getting an excess of those credits. This isn't a bad ratio.
What is
3,000 credits.
What's the conversion on an epic to temporal disruptor? I thought it was 200. Is it
It's
less than
120 temporal disruptors for
that's
one
okay.
shard.
I got you. So 120. So if you need, what was it, 15,000, you're getting 120 per shard. Divided by 5 times 120. There you go. 3,000 static credits will get you 15,000 temporal disruptors. Big time. Hey, thank you. What's going on, Abdi? And James Bond, thank you for the raid in tonight. We're talking a little bit about Alliance tournaments and how some of the tasks have shifted a little bit and how some of your strategies have changed in some of the 10,000 point tasks. Appreciate you guys coming in. Welcome in to the show. Jules, that is a great one. 15,000 disruptors. And if I'm not mistaken, that is a task that pays the big credits and everything too. It's not like one of the grinders ones.
Exactly. This one pays well. There is no cooldowns. You can immediately do it if you have the credits available, static or charged, depending on where your reputational level is for TTI faction. So this is now fast becoming a way for G6 players to also complete another task when, say, I don't know, you haven't collected your Battle Pass choice tokens, or there's not enough choice tokens to complete your entire Alliance tournament tasks with the acquired G6 materials version. So this is an easy way to kind of jump in on that. Plus, I mean, this is a temporal disruptor farm. I only have 1 temporal artifact left to max because of this farm. So this is going to be huge. This is basically a loop accelerant for the temporal artifacts, at least the ones that use disruptors to gain more shards.
I
More
am
and more
almost there.
Generation.
I think I need like 2 more days. I'm getting 3,000 rep per day now. So yeah, I need 2 more days, and I'll be there. That'll be one that I can actually take advantage
tail
of.
End of hang on to those static credits, because tail end of the tournaments, you may be able to get a couple of these tasks done.
Absolutely, static credits right there, baby.
Plus, I see a high ratio of these. This task comes up quite a bit.
It does
as well. So
yeah.
Jules, I wanted to also point out that I don't know if you said the rare Zindi pulls on the chest. That has a 3-day cooldown. So you can pull that twice during the tournament, and that is a guaranteed payout of you have a chance, but you will get some temporal disruptors there, and it pays really well. Not only that, with the new solos that came out, you can buy directives there, and they're not that expensive at all. So, for me, I'm going to wait and make sure that I have enough for 2 double pulls in my Zindi Rare for every tournament, so I can double pull it. And I did that yesterday, and all I needed to do was that pull, and the task was complete because I did a double.
Well, the Zindi Rare chest does have a guaranteed amount of essentially 800, but there's 4 rolls on that, so it can be quite high. I've also put this in the circle for you, DJs. So it can be quite high as well, because you can get a 16,000 roll even at Ops 51. So yes, very good.
And in the Emerald chain, if you're high enough, now your alliance may have the extra roll. If you're not, you may get it next time. So that's something to look forward to as well. Adding an extra roll to both of those.
Great. Last one that I wanted to talk about was the acquire 1,500 uncommon commander skill points.
Yeah, the uncommon skill points. Yeah,
nailed it. Yep, that's the one.
So this one is upgrading the command center, because at certain levels, you would actually get a reward just from finishing the upgrade of the command center building. So I've also included a small chart in the circle for you that shows basically you have to be at least command center 40 and get through 2 upgrades, or be at least command center 50 and be able to do 1 upgrade. By completing that, you'll be able to collect more than 1,500 in uncommon skill points and finish that task. So this is probably only available maybe once every other tournament for most folks based on their acquiring. But now we've kind of pieced together, okay, I can do this once every tournament. I can do my X-Borg one at least once, maybe twice a tournament. I can do the temporal disruptors maybe a couple times. So we're starting to piece together that even free to play who are not G6 or are close to G6, they can start getting more and more of these 10K tasks done free to play.
Now, Retrieving points out in the chat, and I want to be real clear about this. I would disagree that this is a one-time retrieving. It's certainly not like wildly sustainable, but as he mentioned, maybe once every 2 tournaments, maybe even once every 3 tournaments. But when it pops around, this is a task out of your 15 tasks that you can check off the box, right? Like it's not going to be something you can rely on every day or every tournament, but this is how to get one of these done. One of these tasks done. So if you know you're coming up on a queue, or if you've just started an upgrade of your command center after level 50, you're probably going to want to hold to claim that until a tournament. Or at least if you know you got the stuff for it, don't start it until tournament time, right? My command center's 55. I don't have the materials for it yet. I'm nowhere close. But once I do hit the next number of quantum communicators that I would need, I'm going to hold that for the next tournament. So I'm not going to call it a one-off, because at every level beyond level 50, it will satisfy that skill or that task. All right. So it's not a one-off, but it is kind of a 13 off, 14 off. All right. Because up until 50, it would take 2 levels. After 50, every single level will do it. But you're going to cap out eventually at 60. Okay?
Great. The last 2 we'll go real quick through. Acquire 2,200 uncommon G6 materials. The new thing that has come up has been the mats converter, and that has worked. We know that works. So you can convert mats from one to the other, and what you're converting into will actually count towards your acquired materials. You've saved up some of those bonus tokens. Those will now, you can actually basically collect many of those bonus tokens all at the same time in order to get up to your 2,200 uncommon. The last thing is, if you want to show this in game, acquire 7,000 galactic recruit tokens. This is through your emergency field ration store. So it takes 19,800 emergency field rations. This is actually going to be in the event store tab.
Oh, thanks. Sorry. I couldn't find it. I was looking in gifts.
All good.
Sorry, I haven't logged in today, so I've got a few event things that I got to claim here real quick.
All good. But what I'll say is, as you're getting to that point, the other thing that is in the emergency field ration store that is probably a lot more valuable is the monthly elite choice tokens that will actually grant you essentially a fraction of a pack worth of resources and materials. So I believe that is a better value use for your emergency field rations. However, if you are looking to collect galactic recruit tokens, this is a way of doing that. You can get them all kind of in one bundle as well. There's no cooldown on that. So you would not be able to finish this task with the amount of field rations you have.
Correct.
Plus, there's no other sources of galactic recruit tokens on a regular basis outside of the rare ticketed events. So that's not really a good sourcing path for these. And so if you can't get that 19,800, then don't bother. So that's the last of the...
They're in the store for an exuberant price that I wouldn't spend, but they're there.
This is the free-to-play guide.
Yeah, grindable. Grindable 10K tasks there, bro.
Exactly.
No, the tournament store, the Alliance tournament store.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes. So you could...
They're purchasable there if you accidentally didn't know that you were short.
Now,
That's
here's
fair.
here's the
That's
next one.
fair.
Snafu points this out, and I think Tarpey had mentioned this on the last show. I have not stopped to do the math on this, but Snafu says, hey, I'm pretty sure that the 225,000 Syndicate can be done now with the new DTI
Great.
store options once you're
Yeah.
Syndicate 45 plus. But here's the catch with that. You're going to hold that task for 22 hours. So it needs
No,
to
you're
be.
not.
I thought you needed
You don't have to.
No, so you counted it up, huh?
Pull up the snap. Yeah. We got a calculator for this.
All right,
Yep.
where is it?
It's in the circle.
I
There's
also
a picture.
completed this one yesterday and today, by the way. I did the Syndicate one yesterday with my Battle Pass
So you
included,
claimed
and I did it
extra
today without.
Well,
Yeah, so you
daggone.
claimed
Yeah.
extra Syndicate XP on top of your daily pulls.
Yep. Yeah.
that's
So,
not
and today I
always
specifically
available, but
timed SLB rewards.
yeah. So that's great. That's also
And
a
retrieving
method
did it
of
without. It was either retrieving or Mimi did it without.
Ow.
All right, so let's walk me through this because I'm not following what you're talking about.
Ooh.
Can I get 225,000 Syndicate in a day?
There's no way of getting 225,000 Syndicate a day without pulling extra Syndicate XP, either from events, either from Battle Pass rewards, or from other sources. But your typical daily Major Pothead, you're saying that it gives double points?
Yeah, your daily from the Syndicate
The
claim, it
daily
gives
is
double the points.
yeah, but it's really small.
55,000 is not small.
Well, 35,000 or
The one that you click in
42,000
the
is what you
Syndicate
get.
faction? Yeah. I get
42
110,000 from that because my daily claim is 55.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say that very loud, and I'm definitely not saying it a second time, but
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay.
Which is the same reason why I didn't bring up certain things about the Zindy Rare.
Huh. So watch your banners. Okay, got it. Watch your banners, everybody. Okay, moving on.
Okay. That is the wrap up of Alliance tournament tasks.
Nothing more
So,
to
by the
see
way-
here.
there is one other pretty easy to do for most people in G5 and G6 10K task that is free to play at this point, which is complete 4 epic Dominion solos
That
for
one does,
10K points.
yeah, but that gives 10K points, but not the credits.
Yeah, and Jules also said that some of the tasks that were on that sheet did not give the full credits and the full rerolls. So that was
These
already
do.
covered as a possibility.
These do. All of these do. The ones
Yeah,
that
you
are
can
right
click
here.
over to the tournament task list, DJs, and take a look at
Yeah.
the very top is organized.
Yeah.
But the defeat 4 epic Dominion solo armadas, that one is one of the ones that's the grindable ones that does not
Yep.
fit under the 4,400 maximum credits and
Yeah.
the 12,000 rerolls. And,
Gotcha.
and just as a reminder, if you scroll a little bit to the right and down, you'll see that there's a small chart here that actually shows the differing credits that you would earn based on what league you're in. So if you're in expert league, you're not going to see 4,400 credits. You're going to see 3,080. So there is a reason to try to get up to master league for a lot of players.
Oh, for sure. And we've seen some of that. Like I saw somebody in the chat earlier said, I'm not getting 4,400. They're only getting 1980. That means you're in the adept league. So, this is why relegation is bad and ascension definitely needs to be a goal.